All right, you guys have been working with greatest common factor in the past, talking about like when you were in middle school and elementary and stuff like that. Okay, we're going to be looking, greatest common factor means we're looking for the biggest number that goes into two or three different numbers or terms, because now we're going to be adding in their variables. Okay, so for example, if I have something like, let's see if my pen will write. No, not 7. Let's make it something that works. Looking at these three terms, remember the terms are, there's 1, 2, 3 terms. What number goes into all of those? You look and see, like I'd look and see that a 2 goes into 4, 2 goes into 8. My GCF, the greatest common factor, the biggest number that goes into all of them is 2. Okay, so we're going to talk about this step by step. So first off, I've got two numbers right here. Out of these two numbers, okay, you probably want to write this on the back of the paper that you guys have here in class. Out of these two numbers, we're going to try and figure out what number is the biggest number that goes into both of them. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to look. The easiest thing to do is look at the smallest number, and you're going to think, does 24 go into 30? Can you take anything times 24 and get 30? No. What if I do 23? That doesn't work. That doesn't make sense. 23 times nothing gives you 24. If I work down 22, that doesn't multiply to give me 24. 21, 20. Keep working down until I find a number that multiplies to give me 24 and 30. So 19 doesn't work, 18, 17, 16. It's kind of silly to do all of this unless, but you need to unless you know what numbers multiply together to give me 24. I know that 12 multiplies to give me 24, but is there anything times 12 that gives me 30? No. So let's see what else gives me 24. The next number as I go down. There's a number before that, before 6. Somebody said 6. 8. 8 times 3 gives me 24, right? Oh, I lied. There isn't anything times 8 that gives me 30, is there? Okay. So 6. 6 times 4 gives me 24. 6 times 5 gives me 30. My GCF for these two would be 6. What's the largest number that goes into both of them? See, in the past, what you guys had to do to find GCF, you had to make a factor tree. Remember these? When you had to split it up, 24 was 2 and 12, and then you had 2 and 6, 2 and 3, and then so you had 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, right? So instead of doing that, I'm going to go through and think backwards to try and find what my GCF is. So let's look at number 2. Here's number 2. We've got 54 and 36. When I look at these two numbers, I want to find the GCF. What is the greatest common factor? So does 36 go into 54? No, and if you don't know, all you have to do is take 54 divided by 36, and you try and see if there's a whole number. Well, let's work backwards and try and figure out, like, again, one of the ways is 35, 34. Just keep thinking backwards with all these numbers. Or you sit there and think, okay, 36. As I go backwards here, none of these work to multiply to give me 36. As I keep going, you're going to find out, let's see, does 18? Take 36 divided by 18. What does that give you? So 18 times 2 gives me 36. Well, let's see, what's 54 divided by 18? Does that give you an even number? Is it 3? Okay, so 18 So 18 times 3 is 54. So what is the GCF? 18 goes into both of them. Now, let me show you a little, I say it's a trick. Here's one thing, but you have to remember how to do this in the calculator. Make sure you have your calculators. I'm going to pull mine up. All right. Close link, clear ink. Maybe. We'll hope it works. All right. So in the home screen right here, ready? You're going to press math. See the math underneath the alpha? Arrow over to where it says number right here. Then we're going to go to number 9. You see the number 9? Oops, I missed it. See the number 9 where it says GCD? GCD means the same as GCF. I'm going to press enter. Then put in your numbers, 54, comma, 36, and then parentheses. The comma is above the 7, and I'm going to press enter. It will tell you your GCF, but the problem with this is it only works for 2 numbers. Okay, so let's write this down somewhere in your notes. On the back of your paper, you're going to press math. Then you're going to arrow over to the right so that it's where it says number. You're going to go to 9 and have GCD. GCD is the same as GCF. And then you're going to type in your number, comma, the other number, and a parentheses. Then it's going to give you your GCF. So after we did it on your calculator, it said GCD, comma, 54, parentheses, 36, and then it gave you 18. 18 was your GCF. Okay? All right. I'm not going to worry as much about the numbers because there's ways to go through and do this, so let me move ahead. Let's look at these. Okay. Now, on this, let's look at this. When we have letters, it's asking you for the GCF of just these letters. X to the 5th, what it means is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means there's 5 of them. X to the 3rd means that you have 1, 2, 3 X's. Now, when you're trying to find the greatest common factor, you're figuring out how many they have in common. 1, 2, 3. Your GCF for these two is X to the 3rd. Each term has at least 3 X's in it. Your B's. Let's look at this one. B to the 6th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. B to the 9th means I have 9 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. How many are in common in both of them? 6 of them, right? My GCF is B to the 6th. What do you notice about these things? When I'm finding the GCF out of this first one, out of where it says X to the 5th and X to the 3rd, my GCF was X to the 3rd. When I had in number 8, B to the 6th and B to the 9th, my GCF was B to the 6th. What do you notice about my GCFs? It's my lowest exponent. Okay? And there's that is true. If you can look and see, as long as the bases are the same and you find the lowest exponent. Now, what you guys need to understand, this right here, whether it's a B, an X, or whatever, that is called the base. This number up here is the exponent. Okay, so when I talk about the base, I talk about the b or the x, whatever the big number is. That's called the base. Now, let's look at this one labeled number 9. When I look at this one, here's my first term and my second term. When I'm trying to find my GCF, do they each have an x in common, each term? This term has an x, this term has an x. So that means I've got x. What is my lowest exponent out of those two? On the x's. X to the second power. Then you look and see, is there a y in common in both of these? Yes, there's a y here and a y here. So that means my GCF, I'm going to have a y. What is my smallest exponent? A 2. This is my GCF. Here's your next one. Take a minute and find the GCF. Think about what is in common and what is the lowest exponent. So here, for my GCF, I've got an R and an R. They're in both of them, right? So my GCF, I'm going to have an R. What's my smallest exponents on my R's? A 9. Now, I have an S in both of them. So I write S. Out of these two S's, what is my smallest exponent? 11. That is your GCF. Don't worry, we're building up to why we do this in a minute. Next one. You notice that I have a coefficient. This is the coefficient. I have the numbers in both of them, right? Out of these coefficients, I need to figure out what is the GCF. What is the greatest common factor for 5 and 10? Remember, if I did this earlier, I had 5 and 10, and I wanted to know what's my greatest common factor. Now, the mistake is people tell me 2 because they divide the two numbers, and that is such a common mistake. What I'm looking at is find the lowest number. Does 5 go into 10? Yes, 5 is the GCF. Because if I talked about my factors, it would be 5 times 1, 5 times 2. Remember, your GCF is the number that goes into both of them. Okay? So I have 5. Now, I have x's in both of them, right? So I have an x. Out of these two terms, what is my lowest exponent on my x's? A 4. So that is my GCF. Remember that we just talked about the fact that I can pull up on my calculator for my 10 and 5. I could go math, arrow over to number, press 9, put in there 10, comma 5, and press enter, and it will tell you your GCF in your calculator. Okay, look at this one. Ready? We'll do this one together. Let's think about this one. Look at my numbers. I've got 16 and 20. Okay, so 16. I'm thinking about this. 16 does not go into 20. 15, no. 14, no. 13, 12, 11, 10. 10 goes into 20, but 10 doesn't. There's nothing times 10 that gives you 16. 9 doesn't work. Ooh, what about 8? 8 times 2. Does 8 go into 20? No. 7. 6 doesn't. Ooh. What about 5? 5 doesn't go into 16, but 4 does, doesn't it? 4, because it's 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. My GCF out of my numbers is 4. Remember, you can go through the calculator, do the same steps I showed you in the calculator. Not that any of you were thinking this, but I did not do 20 minus 16. When I was tutoring last night, I found a lot of people that thought you just took these numbers and subtracted them and thought they found a shortcut. I promise if that was really the deal, I would just tell you that. But it's not. Now, there's an m in both of them. So m, and then out of these two m's, what's the smallest exponent? A 2. That's my GCF. All right, you guys try number 13. All right, the first thing you need to do is find the GCF out of 18 and 21. As you go through and do that, if you don't know if you can't think backwards, like you start at 18, work your numbers backwards till you can find a number, the first number that goes into both of them. Or you go into the calculator, press math, arrow over to number, type in 18, 21. This only works with two numbers. Oh gosh, what am I doing? That was wrong. Try again. Oh. All right. Math, arrow over to number, press 9. Now put in 18, 21. Press enter. It tells you 3. You should have found your GCF was 3. So now, I know it's 3. Now you need to look at your letters, your variables. I have an A in this one, an A in this one. So I know I have an A. What is the smallest exponent on the A's? There's a 3 here, but yeah, if there's no exponent, guys, that means there's a 1. So that's A to the first power, or I just write A. Then I look at my B's. There's a B in both of them, right? So it is B, and what is the smallest exponent? A 6. That's your GCF. Let me see if it has one that, this one's good. Okay, this is the last one of these that we're going to try together. Try this one. All right, on this one, I'm going to just go ahead and go math, maybe. Oh, golly gee willikers, here we go. The board's frozen, the ink layer's all on. Trying to get it all fixed. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. So I'm going to press math. Maybe if it'll clear off because it's being silly today. Arrow over to number. Press 9. Type in 56, 32. Press enter. It gives me my GCF. It is an 8. So my GCF I know is an 8. Now I need to look at my letters. I have a C to the third and a C to the third. Each one of them has a C. Both of them have an exponent of a 3, so that's your GCF. No, you don't add them. You find the lowest exponent. Now, the other letter that I have right here is a D. Is there a D in this other term? No, so it can't go in here. And the other one has an E. The GCF has to be what is in common in both of them. Okay, and I set you up to make sure because we hadn't done one of those yet, so most likely you put a D and an E, but I'm trying to stress that it has to be in both of them. Now, the question becomes, why do we do this? Now, what I want you to understand, here's what we've done in the past. 2 times x plus 1, right? This was what we did in our last unit. We did the distributive property and got 2x. 2 times 1 is 2, right? We did the distributive property. Now what we are doing is we're going to pull out the GCF. So out of these two things, these two terms, what's the greatest common factor? A 2 goes into both of them. This is the GCF. If you divide out a 2 out of all of this, you get an x plus 1, and this is what is left. This is called factoring. And that's what this unit is. It's factoring. So instead of multiplying, we're doing the opposite, and we're going backwards. Okay, so what does that mean for us? Right here. Here's the first one on the paper now that you guys have. And it should say number 16, yes. All right, so let's look at this. Let's find the GCF. What is the greatest common factor out of these three numbers? Does 4 go into 8? Yes. Does 4 go into 6? No. So what's another number that goes into 4? 2. Does 2 go into 8? 2 go into 6? So my GCF is 2. Now, out of my three terms, is there a letter that's in common in all of them? An X. What's the smallest exponent? Just that one right there, okay? So my GCF is 2x. Now, here's what we have to do. We're going to have 2x, and we have to pull it out and write what is left. What that means is this. We are going to divide each term by 2x. There's a couple ways you can teach this, and my other videos show different ways. What is 4 divided by 2? 2. This says I need 3 x's. I have one of them pulled out already. How many more do I need? I need x to the second power. Because the GCF, you pulled one out in the GCF. Because if I multiply this, 2 times 2 is 4. X times x squared is what? X to the third. And that's what I'm trying to get right there. So what I'm doing right now is I'm working backwards from what we've been doing. Yeah. 8 divided by 2 is what? 4. So plus 4. This says I need 2 x's. I have 1 pulled out already. So how many more do I need? 1. You go back to that GCF every time. Yes. Now, 6 divided by 2, 3. I need 1x. I already pulled out 1x. It's just this. Because if you went back and multiplied each term by 2x, you would get your original, which is what you want. This is what we're trying to do. This is called factoring. All we're doing is working backwards from what we did our last unit. This is not something that's just going to come real. Not everybody. It's not going to come real quick. Not everybody's going to get it at the same time. Okay, so you have to be patient. And the problem is, a number of you that have not been paying attention, you're going to be struggling. Let's look at the next one. Ready? First thing you do, we need to find the GCF. Look in the numbers. Okay, now that little GCF trick I was showing you in the calculator, that doesn't work for 3 numbers. Okay, so you can't put GCD and do 3 of them. But here's what I'm telling you to do. Ready? Look at the smallest number, 4. Does 4 go into 8? Does 4 go into 16? GCF is 4. Now, is there a letter that is in all 3 terms? I've got an X, an X, and an X. What's my smallest exponent on the X's? A 1. If there's not an exponent, okay, if there's not an exponent, that's a 1. Okay? Is there a Y in common in all of them? No, there ain't no Y right there. Okay, the only thing I have is this GCF. So I'm going to pull out just a 4x. And now I need to write what's left. What that means is to write what's left, I have to divide, like I'll divide everything by 4x. So, let's see. 16 divided by 4 is 4. Don't tell me 12. We're not subtracting. All right. I need 2 x's. I've already got one of them. How many more do I need? I just need one more x. And that y is just chilling by itself, so I'm going to bring out the y. Now this minus sign is going to go right here and stay there. What is 8 divided by 4? 2. I need 1x. I already have 1x. I need a y. Do I have a y? No, I got to put it there. Bring this minus sign right here. 4 divided by 4 is 1. I need an x. I have an x. I don't need any others. This is my answer. This whole thing right here is my answer. Try this next one. Remember, you have to find your GCF first. Out of 27 and 18, you got to figure out what that is. So if I use the handy dandy calculator, math, arrow over a number. The reason why I can use my calculator is because there's 2 numbers. Remember, it only works for 2 at a time. There we go. My GCF is 9. So I have 9. What else should be there for the GCF? An x. There's an x in both of them, and the smallest exponent is a 1. So my GCF goes out front. So I'm going to divide everything by 9x. All right. 27 divided by 9 is what? 3. I need 2 x's. I already have 1, so how many more do I need? 1. That plus stays there. 18 divided by 9, 2. I need 1x. I have 1x. Whoop, there it is. Now, if you were going to check it, you can check this one because it only has the x's. You would put the original problem into y1, what you believe the answer is into y2. And then when you press second graph, how do you know you're right? All the numbers in y1 and y2 are the same. Okay? All right, let me skip these for a second. I want to look at this. All right. Look at this. Now, if I look at number 24, it's giving me a box, and what you're trying to do is it's kind of like a puzzle. Okay? You can go through and try and figure out of these 2 boxes right here, what's the GCF out of these 2 terms? There's not a number up here, so it's not a number. There's an x and an x squared, so the GCF would be x. That's one way they're telling you to do it. For me, I look at it like this. X times what is x squared? X. See, and how they got this was x times -5 gave me -5x. Didn't we do that on the multiplying? So down here, to figure out what goes out here, x times what is 3x? Plus 3. Well, what we did in the last unit was this. These on the outside are called my factors. Yeah, so the factors are this. X plus 3 times x minus 5. You want to write that down so you know the definition. This is also called, those factors are my length and my width. What is on the inside is called my product. That's where I got the x squared minus 2x minus 15, like the last unit. That product, we also will call it the area, because length times width gives you area. That's just a vocabulary. Do this next one, 25. Let me talk you through it. If I look, I have 5x squared. how can 5x squared split up? What are the only factors of 5? 5 and 1, right? And x squared has to split up as x and x. You have to figure out where the 5x and the 1x goes. Out of these two boxes, what is the greatest common factor? A 5 goes into 5, a 5 goes into negative 5. So a 5 and an x goes right here. There's an x in both of them, and there's a 5 in both of them. When I look up and down like this, 3 doesn't go into 5. There's no number that works, but an x goes into both of them. So the x goes here. See, because now 5x times x is 5x squared. Now, 5x times what gives me negative 5x? Negative 1. 5 times negative 1 gives me negative 5x. Don't worry, you'll get better at this. X times what is 3x? Plus 3. So my factors are 5x plus 3, x minus 1. My product, which is what's in the middle, is 5x squared. Remember, you put these two boxes together. Minus 2x minus 3. See, what we're going to be doing in this unit is going from the product and going back to the factors. Try and do number 26 where you pull out the GCF out of these two right here. Figure out what the GCF is out of these boxes from left to right and up and down, and then do your puzzle. If you're stuck, that's okay. Go back to the other ones on your worksheet on your GCF. We'll be back in just a second. All right. Out of these two boxes from left to right, what is a GCF of 4 and 12? 4. 4 goes into 4. 4 goes into 12. Remember, this is when I told you if you GCD 12 comma 4. It's going to tell you that it's 4. It's what number goes into both of them, not when you divide it. What is the GCF of 12 and 6? Oh, sorry, this is a 4x. This is 3x. Now, 3x times 4x, that's what gives you 12x squared. 4x times what gives you 4x? 1. 4 times 1 is 4. 3x times what gives you 6x? Plus 2. So my factors are 4x plus 2 and 3x plus 1. My product's what's on the inside. All right. This. It says what is the area of the rectangle. Area is this stuff that's right here, inside. It's 1, 2, 3. I have 3x. 1, 2. So x, x, x. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Plus 12. When it wants your dimensions, it wants the length and width. Well, it's asking you for the factors. So with that, if I drew my little factor frame, there's a couple ways you can do it. If I went and filled in my tiles, this is 1, 2, 3, and then I have an x, 1, 2, 3, 4. X plus 4. I can draw my picture, or when it's asking you for the dimensions, what is your GCF out of these two terms? A 3. When I divide a 3 out of here, I'm left with an x. 12 divided by 3 is 4, which is the same as what I have in the picture. That's what my dimensions are. This one on number 28 says, the area of a rectangle is 2x squared plus 8x. What are the dimensions? It says draw the rectangle. So here's my rectangle. My area, and I always put area on the inside, 2x squared plus 8x. It wants my length and width. What I have to do is factor this. 2x squared plus 8x. What is my GCF out of 2 and 8? A 2, right? There's an x in common in both of them. And the smallest exponent is just an x. So let's pull this out and factor it. If I pull out the 2x, if I divide the first term by 2x, what do I get? 2 divided by 2 is what? 1. I need 2 x's. I have one of them. So I need one more. Then if I go here and I divide, 8 divided by 2 is what? 4. I need an x. I have an x. So my dimensions, I have 2x and x plus 4. Now to find my perimeter, remember 2x, x plus 4. Perimeter means to add up all the sides. 2, 4, 5, 6. 6x, 4 plus 4 is 8. You guys need to try and do number 29. All right, so identify the GCF for 9x and 3. A 3 goes into both of them. If you factor it out, I have 3 parentheses. Take 9x divided by 3. That gives me 3x. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Once you factor out your GCF and you've got this here, when it says what do those two factors represent? They represent the dimensions of the rectangle. The dimensions meaning length and width. Okay, so when it gives you the area and after you factor them out, that's what's giving you is the length and the width. All right, I'm going to go back. To number 19. As I look through these, I need to find my GCF first. What is the GCF out of these coefficients, those numbers? The easiest thing to do is look at the small number. Does 4 go into 8? Yes. Does 4 go into 12? Yes. So 4 is going to be my GCF number. Now you need to find a letter that's in common. Is there a letter that's in all 3 terms? The x is only in the first 2. The y is only in the last 2. So there's not one that's in common. So all you have is your GCF is 4. So I have 4 and I'm dividing a 4 out of each term. So from here, I have 12 divided by 4, which is 3. I need 2 x's. I've got to leave those there. Then I've got 4 divided by 4, which is 1. I need an xy, so I've got to add that in there. Then I put the negative minus sign. 8 divided by 4 is 2. I need y squared, and so I have to add that y squared right there. Number 20. This one should be a lot easier because when I look for my GCF, first off, I take the smallest number, 3. Does 3 go into 6? Yes. Now, I have x's in both of them. So it's got to be an x, and my smallest exponent is a 1. So now I have 3x parentheses. Divide a 3x out of each term. 3 divided by 3 is 1. I can put the 1 or I don't have to. I'm not going to put it this time. Now I need 2 x's. I have 1. So that means I need 1 more. Negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. I need an x and I have an x. This now is my factored form. But since it's all only x's, I can put the original problem into y1, what I think the answer is into y2, and press second graph and see if I'm correct.